What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Grayson here from PokeProfit. Today, I want to talk about what I think is the most misunderstood part about investing in Pokemon and other TCGs for that matter, which is going to be the time commitment and other expenses involved with buying and selling goods. And we'll get into that later on in the video. I do just want to say this is also going to be a video. You probably don't have to follow along on screen. So if you just want to put it on in the background while you're exercising, cooking dinner, whatever, you're probably going to be able to do that. Just a couple things to value load the front though. The Umbreon EX, I was curious because I saw this today. This was a card in like the $950 range for most of December and January. It's now down to $835. I was curious what happened for that to occur basically overnight. And there were a lot of sales today at $250 USD. My guess would be that these are just Japanese or Chinese copies that aren't labeled correctly. And if you are watching on screen, you can see the most recent sales are $875, $935, and actually $1,000 USD. So I think that's kind of what's just going on there. I would expect for this price to jump back up here fairly quickly as we get back to more legit sales. I also looked at some of the other evolutions just in case there were some other shenanigans going on, but it doesn't really seem that way. The Sylveon, we're still in like the 300, 305 range, starting to find some decent support. And then Espeon around 200 as well. And basically all the other evolutions I had looked at over the past couple days. So I don't think there's anything crazy going on there unless I missed some insane outlier over the past few hours. Now, getting into today's main discussion about time and expenses that people really don't consider when they're investing in Pokemon. And this is something that always made sense to me, but maybe that's because I came from a background of buying and selling things and having to negotiate deals and go drive to pick things up. A lot of people coming into the space, they're so used to the stock market where you just have instant liquidity, buying and selling things basically at the drop of a dime, you're good to go. Owning physical products, selling physical products, it takes a lot more work. And then even just finding buyers as well is a massive time sink. So I want to give you guys kind of two examples of how this works. The first, let's just say you're buying things. So for math's sake, maybe you're doing a $2,000 deal on 151 regular ETBs. I know it says $393 on TCG Play. Let's just call them $400. They're basically there anyways based on recent sales. So you could buy about 5 of these for $2,000. Maybe you're negotiating with the seller. You want to pay 85%. Amazing. So you're going to pay $340 per ETB. That means you can make $60 an ETB if you're buying 5. In theory, you can make $300. And I'm just going to give you this example from the perspective of someone going to buy stuff with the intention of instantly selling it. But these hours would be caked in anyways if you are a long-term investor. So just keep that in mind. But paying $340, they're worth $400. If you could sell for 100% of market, ignoring all fees, you would be making about $300 on the deal. But let's say that the seller is kind of difficult to work with. It takes you an hour to negotiate the deal. And then on top of that, the seller lives in the next town over. It's about an hour and a half drive away. So you're going to be in about 3 hours total in driving. And then maybe the meetup's going to take 10, 15 minutes. So you're going to be in over 4 hours on the deal, which for a lot of people, and this is ignoring all the expenses we're going to get to in a second, your time is probably more valuable than $75 an hour. So it's not even going to be worth it to do even before we get to expenses. And for some people, you're going to think that's a great use of your time, which is amazing. But I do know, because I've worked with a lot of you guys and some people in the mentorship group, your time is worth a lot more than $75 an hour. So it just doesn't make sense from a time perspective to do this sort of deal. But even if you are willing to do this and make $75 an hour, there are other expenses you have to consider. So one, obviously, is going to be gas. For me, if I'm driving 3 hours, maybe it's going to be like $30 to $50 in gas, Canadian dollars, whatever, right? So you're going to have an expense that takes away from your total profit. Wear and tear on your car, obviously, you're going to have to factor that in. And then there's going to be some level of intangibles. So the more you're driving, the more likely, the more opportunities you're going to have to be in a potential accident. And I know some people would probably never even think to factor that in. But if you are spending a lot of time on freeways, you're spending a ton of time commuting, in my opinion, this is something that you should be factoring in to all of your deals. And then on top of that, there is always the risk when you do in-person deals that things go wrong, right? You could, in theory, get robbed, which that is obviously highly unlikely. And if it's someone you've done business with, probably not something you should worry about. And there's tons of things that you can do to minimize that risk. Meet at a police station or meet at a bank. Make sure that you're recording if you haven't done a transaction with that person before. But these security measures, again, are things that could add more time to the deal, and that is going to reduce the amount that you're actually making in your hourly. So once you factor all of this in, your gas, wear and tear, maybe you're only making, let's say, $40 an hour, $50 an hour on your time. And there's even going to be more people now where that just does not make sense. So that is kind of the first example about how people don't factor in their time. The second example I could give, we're going to look at Paldea Evolve. So the ROI on the booster box, about 110% over the past 12 months. That's amazing, by the way. But the 3-pack blister, this is about 117% ROI in the same time period. And even more than that, the sleeve booster is up around 120%. And I've gotten into arguments with people saying that I would much prefer to have the booster box ROI of about 110% compared to the sleeve booster at 120 in the same time period. And obviously, if this was the stock market where you could just have instant liquidity of everything at full market price, great, go with the sleeve booster. Like, no one would be arguing against that. But the reality, owning physical products, it's going to be a lot more difficult for you, I guarantee, to sell enough 3-pack blisters or enough sleeve boosters unless you have concrete deals with, let's say, a rip and ship who's just buying all of your product. You're probably going to be spending way more time offloading these ancillary products than it makes sense to, just to get that extra 5 to 10% gain on those products. So just factor that in as well. Now, obviously, there is going to be some nuance to this sort of conversation because, for example, the Paldea Evolved build and battle stadiums, these are up about 170%, almost 171% over that same 12-month time period. And I think now you would be at the point, it's a fairly significant ROI difference between this and the booster box, where maybe there's an argument to be had to have some level of exposure to this type of ancillary product. The only thing is that if you had a massive position in this type of product, the build and battle stadium, it's still going to be incredibly difficult for you to offload your entire inventory. So for example, over the past year, I mean, I think if I'm reading this correctly, only 51 have sold on TCG Player. And considering they're going for about $130, if my math is correct, that's only about $8,000 worth of product. So it's very difficult to move a ton of this stuff. People, sure, maybe if they are a rip and ship or a business, they're going to be buying these, but they'll be breaking them down. So you're not going to get full asking, especially something like this product. There's going to be so much waste for those businesses, the cardboard boxes, having to just open the build and battle kits on the inside as well. Sure, you could do that work, but that's more time that you actually have to factor in to your overall investment. So that's really the point I'm trying to get to in this video is you can look at the ROI, look at how much profit you actually made on each deal, and that's great. But most people don't factor in their time. They don't factor in opportunity cost. They don't factor in expenses that they should be factoring in, like gas, wear and tear on your vehicle. Also just, drinks and meals that I don't think people would ever factor in when they're going to buy and sell things, maybe in the town over. You stop in at a 7-Eleven, you spend $5 on a couple Monsters and a candy bar or something like that, right? These are all things that really do add up. And I challenge basically anyone watching this video, if you are curious, really track how many hours you spend investing in Pokemon, the amount of research you do before you buy a product, looking to try and find the cheapest price on all the online Shopify stores, negotiating with people on Facebook, actually going to meet up. You're going to realize if you're in this hobby for 5 years, 10 years, that is going to be a significant amount of time. And for a lot of you guys, it's probably not going to be the best use of your time in terms of how much you're actually making per hour when you do the breakdown. And in terms of things that you can apply to your own Pokemon investing or TCG investing in general to make better use of your time, first off, invest in the more expensive products. Don't buy a bunch of sleeve boosters, a bunch of 3-pack blisters. Just go with the booster boxes, booster box cases. It's the same thing with ETBs. Loose ETBs, Sure, they can do very well. I own some loose ETBs, but if you can buy a sealed case and you're getting them for about the same price, it would make sense just to get one sealed case versus 10 loose ETBs in the future. You're probably gonna have a premium there anyways, but also you're just gonna have to sell one item opposed to 10 loose ETBs. The other thing too is build your network and build your sales channels. So I only have a few people that I really do business with now. Obviously, I am willing to do business with other people in the future, but the people I work with at this point, if I need to move things, it's very easy to do that. And if there's something that they're not interested in taking, I just throw it on Facebook. I set a market price, and if somebody wants to take it, awesome. They send me an e-transfer, which is non-refundable. Once I get paid, I pack it up and ship it. I never have to go meet up with anyone in person. Sure, I will have to drive to the post office, but if it's a letter mail thing, I just have to go to the corner and throw it in the mailbox. So those are really the big two things that any serious investor could start doing right now in order to save themselves a bunch of time and money in the long run. But you guys let me know in the comment section down below what you think. Also, if you enjoyed the content, I'd really appreciate if you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Road to 20,000, maybe we get there by the end of 2026. I think that would be amazing. And if you guys are interested in taking your TCG investing more seriously this year, I do have links to the market spreadsheet consultation calls and the mentorship program, which is back open for the month of February. So with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.